Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing pretty well. I'm doing a lot better. So if you have been following my journey, then you know that I had vertical sleeve surgery. I finally had my surgery on February 21st. Originally was scheduled for the 22nd, but I'll get all into that here in just a minute. I do have some notes written down, so that way I'm not bouncing all off of topic and that this video doesn't be too long. So let me just go ahead and open up to my notes that I have, and then we'll go ahead and get started. And then I'll be sipping some Crystal Light. This is a great flavor throughout the video because I need to get in some water. So excuse that if you see it, okay? All right, so let's get started. So my last video that I recorded, I did record a video as far as preparations to go to Mexico. So once we got actually to Mexico, I called my medical group and let them know that I was at the airport. They told me to go to the zone where the transportation would be picking us up, and it was me and my babe who went. And basically, so we went to that zone. San Diego's airport is pretty big, so it took us a little minute to get there. Once we got there, we probably waited maybe 15 minutes at the most, and then after that we were picked up by the medical van. He was really nice, very efficient, which is one of the things I really enjoyed about him. He put our stuff in the back for us. We got in the van. He pretty much explained that we're going to cross the border. Then I'm going to take you to the hospital. He said, is your surgery today? Or I said, no, it's tomorrow. He said, okay. And then I'll take you guys to the hotel so you can get settled and all of that stuff. He said, but right now we're going to go to the hospital so you can get your test, EKG and stuff. I was like, okay. That was pretty much what I expected anyway, once I got there. So that was fine. So then after that, he took me to the hospital. And when you walk into the hospital, it's not, let's just be, it's Mexico for one. And then for two, it's not like the state-of-the-art, top of the line hospitals that you may have here in the States. It's definitely a lot smaller. Their equipment is a little bit older and things like that. But I will overall say that the care was fantastic. I didn't have any problems with the care at the hospital. And not only that, I would say that it was excellent as far as cleanliness. I'm talking about as soon as you walk in, it smelled nice. The floors was kept great. Bathrooms was nice. So they are very clean and very efficient as far as that as well. So even though it wasn't, your up-to-date hospital, you walk in there, you're like, okay, a remodel or something, but they were clean and very efficient. So pretty much what I did was fill out a medical questionnaire, which is pretty much standard what all people do when they are getting ready to embark on a medical procedure, even a checkup. So it had questions on there like, have you had surgeries? Do you have diabetes, high blood pressure, things of that nature. Once I filled that out, probably about maybe 10 to 15 minutes, a very sweet nurse came and got me to go ahead and weigh me. And so when she weighed me, I had lost 10 pounds. So I'm going to just go ahead and insert my stats here really quickly. My highest weight was 268. The date of surgery, when she weighed me, I was 258. So I had lost 10 pounds. And today I weighed myself and I was 241.8. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. So she did weigh me, and yeah, that was cool. So after she weighed me, she did go ahead and take some blood for me as well. She took 2 vials, but it was like probably about this much. It wasn't a lot. It wasn't like filled to the top of the vials. And they took those to the lab to run whatever tests they run. And then also she told me to lay down flat so that they can go on a bed that was already in the room to go ahead and do my EKG. So you put all the little stickers on and they did my EKG. It took about 10 minutes tops. And then after that, she was like, okay, everything looks good. You could go sit down. I'm going to have you speak with the cardiologist. So went back in the waiting area with Babe, and we were just kind of shooting the breeze. And about maybe 10, 15 minutes later, I met the cardiologist. He was an older guy, very nice. They always ask where you're from because they know they have people that travel and use their services all the time. So he was like, oh, you're a long way from home. I was like, yeah. And he was really nice. He went over my EKG, looked at everything, asked me some additional questions, etc., etc. And then after that, he was like, okay, you're good for surgery. You're an excellent candidate. Your blood pressure was great. Your EKG is beautiful. He was like, you're good to go. And he said, did you have any questions? I was like, no. And then we went back and sat in the waiting area. So like literally in 5 minutes, all of a sudden I see my surgeon come in, and he's accompanied by a nurse. And they were both very pleasant, both very nice. He said, you know, I don't speak English very well. He said, but my hands are good. And I was like, okay, as long as your hands are good, I can work with that. And he was really nice. And the nurse basically, because he doesn't speak English that well, the nurse was there to kind of, you know, I guess translate things that I may not understood, but I was able to understand him actually pretty well. This is where things got a little like, okay, like I had a specific plan, and then that plan just kind of changed a little bit because he goes, well, we could do your surgery today. He was like, I actually recommend that you get your surgery done today because it'll give you more time to recover. The nurse was also, you know, piggybacking that, telling me that it would be better for me. He said, but only if you want to. So I looked at Babe and I was like, what do you think? And we were both like, okay, might as well if it's going to give me more time to recover. So they were like, okay. He said, well, I'll see you in a few hours. And I was like, okay. And I was like, oh my God, I'm getting my surgery today instead of tomorrow. So I didn't have time to do a room tour. I didn't have time to do some of the things that I really wanted to do, just because I ended up having my surgery as soon as I got there. I was running off of hardly any sleep from the night before with our plane schedule and just a whole bunch of different things like that. So I guess I was just overwhelmed. And then after that, I didn't record anything else too much because I was just like, okay, I'm about to have surgery. So they took me to my room that I was going to be staying in overnight. And when we walked in, there was a woman that was sleeping, and I'm assuming that she had had surgery because she was knocked out. And then there was another woman waiting for her mother. And I was kind of like, okay. I was a little taken back by this part because I was like, well, I thought I would be in a room by myself or, you know, things like that. But I'm actually glad that I wasn't in a room by myself because this is a tough surgery to go through, especially if you've never had surgery before. And it's just nice to be accompanied by other people that are going through the same thing that you're going through. So first I was taken back by it, but then after that I actually didn't mind it because we were all in the same boat. So they gave me a gown, told me to put my clothes in a locker. So that's what I did. And then they came and wrapped my legs with ACE bandages. Again, this is Mexico. So, you know, in the States, I've had a surgery a long time ago in the past, not an extensive surgery at all. But they take they have those little things that blow your legs up and stuff to keep them from having like blood clots and stuff like that. And they don't have that there. So basically what I had to do, well, what they did was put ACE bandages, wrap them all the way up to about the knee of my leg, I think. And then they covered my feet, which was good because my feet were freezing because I had on sandals. And they covered my feet and then put the little thing on my hair. And then they were like, okay. And then they came in with an IV. They started an IV right here. I still have the little scar. And they were like, okay, so, you know, this IV is just to get you hydrated. I think it had an antibiotic in it or something else. She was like, so we're going to let this go and we'll talk to you soon. I was like, okay. So me and babe were in there shooting the breeze. The lady that was sleepy, she finally kind of woke up a little bit. I spoke and said hello. And the young woman who was waiting on her mother, we started talking. And they were just kind of saying, you know, how long they've been here and what their experience has been thus far. And she's just waiting on her mom to come up for recovery because she just had her surgery. And so I was just like, okay. So probably about an hour, the driver came and asked my babe, you know, do you want to go check into the hotel, get settled, or do anything, and then I can bring you back. And so that's basically what they did. So I was just there chilling by myself with the other ladies, of course. And then the next thing I know, they came to get me, and we walked down to the surgery area. And then I get in a bed, and they pretty much just have me laying there waiting and relaxing. That's pretty much all I was doing. And at this point, I'm kind of like in my head, like, this is really happening. Like, I've planned for this. I've replanned for this. I've pushed things back to keep planning for this. And now this is really about to go down. So I was like, okay, you know, this is it. This is what's about to happen. So basically, another woman who just, I guess, had just had her surgery, because they wheeled her next to me, of course, with a privacy curtain. And she was like, once she started coming to, she was like, oh my God, why am I feeling like this? Like, she was kind of going through some things, it sounded like. And then I got scared. That's when I got a little nervous, because I was like, okay, that's going to be me in a couple hours. So the cardiologist came. I'm just looking down at my notes to make sure I haven't forgotten anything. Okay, so then not the cardiologist, the anesthesiologist came. And he was very fluent in English. And he was like, okay, you know, what's your name? Where you're from? Just kind of talking to me. He's explaining who he is, what he does. He's like, so we're going to go with local anesthesia for you. He was like, asked me if I had surgeries in the past. I said I did have one. He said, how did you do? I was like, I did great. He was like, okay, well, we're good to go. He said, in about 20 minutes, we're going to get started. I was like, okay. So roughly about 20 minutes, they pulled me into the operating room where I was getting ready to have my surgery. And he was telling me, he was like, you're going to look so great. You're going to lose a good amount of weight. He was like, so don't be scared. Don't be worried. We're going to take good care of you. All that. And then the next thing I know, he said, we're about to give you the good stuff. And I just felt it immediately. And I remember the mask coming down on my face. And that's all I remember from that portion. So I started waking up and coming to. And I started to make those same noises that the lady next to me was doing a little bit earlier before I had my surgery. I was like, oh my God. Oh, like just making noises like that. Because of the pressure that you feel from the gas. That's pretty much what it is gas pains. And they freaking hurt. I don't care who you talk to. They kicked my butt. I'm talking about kicked my butt, because I immediately started to feel some discomfort, which, I mean, that's usually normal when you have surgery. I mean, you get pain meds, but you're still gonna feel some of the effects from the surgery. And I remember saying, oh my God, I gotta pee, like I got to go to the bathroom, like now. And the nurse was like, okay. And they got a wheelchair. They put like the little chuck things on the wheelchair told me to sit down. They took me back upstairs to my room. Before I could even get in before they could even wheel me in the room good enough, I had already started going to the restroom. And I felt so embarrassed because I had to go and I couldn't hold it any longer. And so there's a little side note. Like, I know when I had a surgery here in the States, long time ago, I received I got a catheter, and then they come and take it out, a little bit later. No, you don't get a catheter. At least my medical group, my doctor didn't do that. So yeah, I had to pee on like right then. And so I apologized. I was like, I'm sorry, I peed. I'm sorry, and then I went to the restroom. They were like, it's okay, it's okay. And then I started feeling nauseous. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm nauseous. I need something. I'm nauseous. And then I remember trying to, and nothing came up. So I guess that was just the effects of the anesthesia and probably just the surgery in general. So then after that, I went and laid down in my bed. And at this point, there was another lady. And I'm assuming, well, it was the young woman who was waiting on her mother. She was already up there. And Babe was like, are you okay? And I was like, and I remember just falling asleep. And I remember looking up and Babe was asleep. We all were just kind of in there sleeping. And then I really started to feel discomfort. I was like, oh, what is that? I guess I did not know. I know that I read about people's experiences. I watched videos, all of that. I asked questions, but you never can really be fully prepared for how your body is going to react to the surgery. So these gas pains, had never even thought that they were going to be that bad. They were pretty bad for me. And the other two ladies that was in the room with me, they seemed to be fine. Like, I mean, they had surgery, they were sleeping, they were recovering, but they weren't up and down, uncomfortable, trying to get comfortable. They were fine. And they were a little bit bigger than I was. So I don't know if that had something to do with it, because I heard sometimes the bigger you are, the effects aren't the same. But I don't know if that's true or not. All I can say is they were not as uncomfortable as I was. So after that, they came and checked my vitals, did another IV bag. And in the IV bag, it had antibiotics in there and stuff like that, nausea medication. And then they would come and shoot actual pain meds into my IV area. So let's see, about 8 o'clock, Babe went back to the hotel because they do not allow visitors to spend the night with you in the hospital. So yeah, which was okay. I didn't mind because I really would have just probably been too much. I was too much. I know I was. So I'm glad that, I'm just happy that I guess I wasn't like gonna be a burden or anything like that, or at least for that one night, because I was just too much, like I said. So skimming forward, around midnight, 1 o'clock, I started getting up, walking the halls of the hospital, taking my little IV thing with me and just walking. And there was another lady there who had the same surgery, and she was doing the same thing, and we both had the same look on our face, like, we're uncomfortable, we're not happy. And at this point, I started regretting my surgery, because I'm like, I was perfectly fine. Fat, yes, but did I have this discomfort? No. You know what I mean? So I was kind of like, what did I do? Why did I do this? I could have just, I just was starting to regret it. And yeah. So I stopped at the nurse's station, asked them, when can I get pain meds again? Because that's pretty much all I needed to know. And she explained to me that the first night is it's the roughest night because of all the gas. She said, but you're gonna feel better. The best thing you can do is just keep walking. We're gonna give you pain meds in a couple hours. And I think that was pretty much it. Of course, you can't have nothing to eat or drink. You don't want nothing to eat or drink. Trust me, I didn't. So I went and laid back down. I was up and down. I don't even know how my roommates dealt with me because I was up and down. We didn't turn on the TV. I didn't keep my phone. I was just trying to concentrate on feeling better and getting rid of the gas. That was just my goal. So I laid down and I kept tossing and turning and I just could not get comfortable. So then finally I was like, you know what? I'm about to try to go to the bathroom because I felt like I had a poop, but I didn't. So I sat there, nothing came out. I was like, okay. Then I started to feel a little nausea and then I made myself, and it kind of helped, honestly, because it helped me get up some of that air. I started burping a little bit and I felt at least 30% better, maybe 30 to 45% better than what I felt. And I was able to lay down. Then our roommate was like, okay, can we get some air in here? Because I like to sleep with a fan or a crack in a window anyway, in my everyday life. So she took that right out of my mouth. I was so happy that she asked. So they turned some air on and I was able to sleep a little bit. And then they came and gave me some medication. And so I slept for about three and a half hours maybe. After that, I woke up and started walking the halls again. It was only like 4 in the morning. And they were like, oh, honey, my roommates, they were like, oh, honey, you're just having the hardest time. And I was just like, I never thought, I just couldn't get over how the gas pays were. So then skimming through the morning, there's shift change, so they give report. And then the doctors come in and they start, pressing on your abdomen a little bit, just making sure you don't feel tender or you don't feel any pain in your incision sites. And my incision sites, actually, even thus far, I have had not much pain with them. So I'm pretty happy about that. But I had the gas. And they asked where we're from, asking them how we're feeling, all that kind of stuff. And then they were in and out. Then they were like, okay, the transportation van's coming at 8 o'clock to take you to the hotel. So I went to the bathroom, did the upchuck again, because that was the only way that I was able to get any relief. And I was feeling nauseated also at the same time. So after I did that, I got dressed, rinsed my mouth, of course, and all that. And they gave us ice chips. I think I did 2 ice chips out of there, and I was over it. I was like, I don't even want anything. We went to the hotel. And hotel's not far from the hospital, and then the ride wasn't like long or uncomfortable. The transportation guy, he helps you get out the van in and out, so they're very nice when they do that. Checked in at the front, got an extra room key, went into the room, and I was given instructions by the nurses on site at the hotel to be sure to just go in, take a shower, remove your bandages, be careful, watch your drain, and call the nurse line when you get in. So that's what I did. I took my shower, called the nurse line. Very sweet nurse came in and said, she said, oh, we heard that you had such a hard time, because in the hospital, I could hear another set of people that had the surgery and they had serious nausea. My nausea was bad to me, but it wasn't as near as bad. But they were like, you were one of the ones that was having a hard time. And I was like, yeah. And so she was like, well, I'm about to give you an IV. She said it has your antibiotic, it has a muscle relaxer, it has pain meds, it has everything in here. You're going to feel so much better. She said, please start taking some ice chips. She said, because it will start to soothe your stomach, since it's kind of tight and swollen right now. She said, but nothing else. She said, now if you can keep the ice chips down, then you can have some apple juice. And each day they came in your room, they give you like a couple of apple juices, some Jello, water. But she wanted you to just use the apple juice. Use the ice. So I was like, okay. She put the IV, gave me my IV drip. Next thing I know, probably about 20 minutes later, I felt 1,000% better. I wasn't 100, but I felt better. I was still, doing all of that. And I'm sorry for the sound effects, but I'm just saying, that's what I was doing. And I was just in bad shape. And Babe was talking to a friend who prayed for me, and everybody was just praying for me. And my mom talked to me for a little bit, and I was out. I slept more so than anything else. And that was fine with me. I would get up to go to the bathroom and stuff like that, but I slept. So after that, the night nurse comes in and they give you another IV of the good stuff. And I was happy about that. And then they were like, okay, in the morning you're going to go get a leak test done. So they left me a bottle of fluid that I needed to take. And the nurse was like, just drink it to the label. And that's all. And they said, okay, so good night. So I went to sleep, slept a lot better than I did the first night. Woke up, the nurse came in, checked my incisions, drained my drainage tube, my drainage bag or whatever. And then was like, okay, they'll be here in an hour, so get ready to go. So I got ready to go. And after that, they were like, okay, so at this point, we all got in the van. It was like 10 of us. We went to the radiology place. They wrote our names down, asked us a few questions, and then called us one by one. I went in, and they have you drink another liquid that is disgusting. The purple bluish one that they left in my room, it really didn't taste like anything. It tasted like water with a little bit of dye in it. The stuff that they had me drink at the radiology place was horrible. Like, I was like, that stuff is disgusting. So I did go ahead and drink it, of course, because I had to. And he was like, okay, when you drink it, inhale and be still. They took some pictures. They gave us a copy of our x-ray, which I will probably show a clip of it in this video, or I'll show it in another video, but you do get to keep a copy so that you can see what your new stomach looks like. And then we went back to the hotel. Then they said, okay guys, if you want to go, shopping and tour Mexico a little bit, we will have a van come and pick you up at 2:30. So we went ahead and went. I was not in the mood to shop. Like, shopping was the last thing that was on my mind. But I tried to walk, of course. Babe got something to eat. And we did a little bit of shopping. Then we went back to the hotel. Got another IV of my meds and went to sleep. So the next day, the he's a doctor nurse. No. Doctor, he comes in, he said, okay, today, he said, are you feeling any nausea or diarrhea from the liquid that you drank? I was like, and I wasn't feeling anything like that. He said, okay, today we want you to try to poop. He said fart. And he started laughing, and I started giggling a little bit because I'm like, yeah, okay. He said, because you still have, of course, quite a bit of gas in your stomach, and it's just a good way to get it to come out. He was like, so if you can, or if you feel the urge, just do it. So I was like, okay. So then he gave me a paper that had the diet that I was supposed to be on for the next basically 5 weeks. He said, this is the hardest part. The surgery is hard, but the diet is even harder. And I am going to be doing a video on the diet too. So stay tuned for that. So then after that, I was like, okay, well, all right. And so he left. And they came and gave me some more, medication. And if you needed them, you just dial their number and they'll come in. So the IV was only in for a few days, and then after that I was getting shots because when they left the IV port in, but when they were trying to inject my meds, it was burning. So they said, no, we have to take that out. So they took it out, and then they started giving me my antibiotics, my medications, and my buttocks. I did not like that, but that's what they did. So reading over my notes, because I just want to make sure that I did not forget anything. Then they have you, of course, take another shower the next day. They come in and spray your wounds. And the next, I think it was Thursday, they took my drain out. And basically all he did was have me lay down on the bed flat, the night nurse. And he said, you're going to take a deep breath, and I'm just going to pull it out. He said, it's going to feel a little weird, but it's not going to hurt. And it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt. It just doesn't feel good. But I was happy to get my drainage tube out. He, of course, took a look at my incisions, changed them, all that kind of stuff. Gave him my meds, and that was it. So we just pretty much chilled, and I recovered. I started to feel fatigued and stuff. Then the next day, I guess, effects from that liquid that I had from my leak test, it did take effect because I got nauseated. Like, I woke up feeling, oh, it's a brand new day. I feel a little bit better. And then all of a sudden I felt like, oh, I gotta go. I ran to the restroom. Up chuck. It was like yellow looking. It was weird. And then I had diarrhea. So that made me mad. I'm like, I'm feeling a little bit better today. Now I'm still nauseated. And I have diarrhea to boot. Way to go. So, yeah, I spent a lot of time in the hotel room. I did have one popsicle while I was there. And it was amazing because I was so thirsty. But, you're so swollen. It's just hard to kind of, get anything down. So I had a popsicle, and that kind of helped with me being so dry. And then I did not do any broth. You can do broth while you're there. It's free to you if you want it. So it's the popsicles and all of the other stuff that they give you. But I didn't have any broth. My body couldn't take it. So then it was Friday, and I was like, woohoo, we're going home tomorrow. I was ready to go home. I was ready to be in my own bed and stuff like that. This is where I got a little annoyed. They verified with me the day we went on the tour when our flight leaves, which was Saturday. And I'm like, okay, so they know I'm here. They know I'm here till Saturday. And I just happened to call Saturday morning around 9:30, 10 o'clock to ask them what time, we need to be ready to leave. Okay, so sorry about my camera. I don't know where I left off. Okay, so I believe I left off where we were getting ready to leave on Saturday, and this is when I got pissed off and annoyed. So basically, like I said, they verified with me on, I think that's the day when we had our tour that we were leaving on Saturday. So they confirmed it, and everything was a go. So Saturday, we get up, we're excited to go back home, at least I was anyway. And we were getting ready to go, and I just happened to call the front desk because I was like, well, we need to know what time we need to be ready to go. We need to, be in the lobby at a certain time. And so the nurse called the nurse station, and they were like, well, the transportation vans already left. The pickup was at 9 o'clock this morning. And I'm like, okay, well, that's great. However, what time do we need to be ready to go? So when he was talking, he basically sounded like he had no clue and that we were SOL. And that was not going to happen no matter what, because I've paid my money. You will make sure I get home because that's a part of our package. So I was like, that's just not going to happen. That's not good enough. I almost started crying. I'm like, I'm a patient. I'm in recovery, and you guys should have asked or at least told us what time to be ready to go. I was like, my baby has to go to work on Sunday. We don't have time for this, so you better get it fixed. And that's pretty much the attitude I had. I said, I'm not staying in Mexico another day while you work it out or anything. Fix it today. So basically, he made a couple of phone calls, and the med van, the transportation van was like right there, Johnny on the spot, in like 10 minutes. Took us across the border, which took about an hour and maybe like 20-30 minutes. Then we got to the San Diego airport with time to spare for our flight. So I was happy. I was confident that they were going to get us there. But I was also freaking out at the same time because these night nurses were like stupid or something. I don't know what their problem was. That was my only time that I got pissed or irritated. And I feel like I had a good reason to be that way. Because, you know, they should have been more professional and let us know what time to be prepared. So other than that, that was the only problem we had. And getting to the airport, I was very tired, fatigued. I just had like a mean look on my face. I know I did because I didn't feel good. And I was frustrated because I was so thirsty. Like I wanted to drink so bad, but I was having, you know, where it like stops in your chest. And now I have to learn how to sip versus gulp or drink like how I used to. So I was pissed off about that. I was pissed because I was ready to go home. Our flights were fine and comfortable. We did have a delay on one of our flights. So other than that, we was fine. We made it home. And then because we were on the flight and, you know, they give you beverages and stuff, I asked for some apple juice and it was life. Like it went down. It didn't hurt my chest or anything like that. So when we got home, babe went and got me some apple juice and like some popsicles and stuff like that. And that was pretty much it until I went back to work. So the pain meds that they give you, the medications that you get rather, is this here. And I believe this is like tramadol mixed with something. But they're really good because I slept great on these. And this is how much you get. How many tablets you get. And then this was disgusting. This was the antibiotic that you get. And these were horrible. And with your stomach being swollen and tight, you can't swallow this big horse capsule. Because that's how big they were. I had to undo the capsule and like smush the powder in like popsicle. That was the only way I can get it down, and it's disgusting. So I think I did that for like a few days, and then after that I was like, no, I'm swallowing these because I'm gonna gag if I have to keep taking them that way. So that's what I did. So you take all of these. They say it's very important to not skip them, to not stop them, just like any other antibiotic that you take. They tell you that kind of stuff. And then they gave me a bottle of, it's like milk of magnesia. This is what the bottle looks like here. But it's basically milk of magnesia. And you take like, they wanted you to do like 10 milligrams or something like that. And this was great because when I did feel a little indigestion or something like that, this was able to calm that down. Besides my gas X strips, and I have taken Prilosec a couple times until I get into a doctor to give me, probably prescribe me an antacid. I'll just buy some Prilosec over the counter until then. So that's pretty much my experience. Overall, I would do it again, even though it was hell on wheels trying to recover. In my opinion, I still would do it again because of the weight loss that I'm experiencing, and I'm really happy about it. So if you have questions, leave them below. I'll be happy to answer them. I don't think I left anything out at this point, so I'm going to end the video. You guys take care.